Animals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh, Lord, yeah.
Hey, it's Soleil, and this is episode 468 of the Orange Pill Investor. And the title is abbreviated. I've been attributing that quote to Michael Saylor lately. And the correct exact quote is, "And in the war for the future of money, the war is going to be won with money." But the shortened version, I think, is more slogan worthy, right? The war for money will be won with money. Short and sweet. Fits X a little better. Even the old school original Twitter version, no full substance, just clever and catchy catchy things that you can fit in 160 characters or whatever the hell it is. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I have been on a tear with Bitcoin knots over Bitcoin Core lately. And if the war for the future of money will be won with money, then we're going to need to see some of these big players like Strategy weigh in on the issue, and I think it will be a nice litmus test for separating the Bitcoin treasury companies from the shitcoin treasury companies. Maybe that'll be the title of tomorrow's video. Shitcoin treasury company or Bitcoin treasury company. I don't think there's going to be much else that's more important than this issue over the next months and maybe years, however long it takes for this to shake out. And I'm reminded of something that Jeff Booth said, in that he thought that, well, he came right out and said that he thought that Saylor was a genius, and with the financial engineering, speculative attack on the dollar, all that good shit. And he did say, however, that Saylor and, of course, all of the Bitcoin treasury companies will be tested in the future. The fiat system is not going down without a fight, and they will attempt to co-opt Bitcoin. And if they can't do it at the base layer, then maybe they can do it by just turning Bitcoin into a shitcoin. And I think spam is definitely one of those attack vectors. I haven't read the whole thing, but I think this one was reposted by Matthew Cratter, talking about Marxist inversion in general and how it could be applied to BTC. And I think where this is going is, it seems like maybe they're trying to attack Bitcoin from the inside through Bitcoin Core and inverting Bitcoin's original purpose. I bookmarked it. I got to come back to it. But there's a lot of good thought experiments in the space right now. And stuff like this is way more important than Bitcoin per share, sats per share. I don't really give a shit about the MNAV guidance, whether Saylor buys 1.8x Bitcoin with my strategy dollars, or whether they do it at 2.5 MNAV and get, more more Bitcoin per share, if my Bitcoin ends up becoming fucking worthless. The whole point, what I said recently is that every industry and service in the entire world and that will ever exist can all be disrupted by an entrepreneur providing better value. But the only thing that can't be disrupted is a Bitcoin balance sheet, because Bitcoin itself is the disruption. However, if Bitcoin becomes disrupted and becomes worth nothing, like, do I really want exposure to strategy, which is a 2x levered, approximately, Bitcoin play, if Bitcoin becomes worthless? No, clearly not. So I think this Bitcoin, this Knots versus Core debate is going to be a critical indicator for whether a company is good or bad for Bitcoin. And, holding 1 million Bitcoin is going to give quite a bit of weight to which way Bitcoin goes if there is in fact a fork. So, I don't have constant or even infrequent communication with anyone at Strategy, but I'm going to have to start trying to reach out to some of these folks. And if I can't get them to consider, or at least do some type of review of Knots and whether they need to require their custodians like Fidelity or whoever else to themselves either just adopt Knots outright or at least do a review themselves and then, share the results of that review with us, and then we can determine for ourselves whether we think they are good or bad actors in the space. If they won't, talk to me and answer me directly because maybe I don't have enough followers or whatever, then I will submit whatever the paperwork I need to do to have it submitted to shareholder vote at the next annual shareholder meeting. I would rather that they just do it and that we don't have to put it to the shareholders, but then at the same time, maybe it should just be the shareholders. And then if the shareholders decide that they want to vote for Bitcoin Core as the company's custodians node software, then maybe I just don't want to be a part of that network and I'll have to exit my entire position at that point. Because the whole point of investing in a company is that you are willing to accept third-party risk, that they are good custodians of your money, and by that I mean they're good custodians of my Bitcoin. I know I don't have a legit actual claim to the Bitcoin as a common stock shareholder. I guess if I was an STRF holder, maybe I'd have a stronger claim to it, but I don't want to get into that argument. However, so I have to assume or accept that I believe that they are going to be good custodians of my cash, my corn. And if they fail this test, that's going to give me cold feet. So I'm not going to go and say, 100% sure if they don't, endorse Knots, or, there's a lot of things that they can do. I think some people donate money to Bitcoin Core. Maybe these companies should start donating money to Knots. Maybe they should shell out the money for a developer to go work on Knots. That way we don't have people bitching and moaning that Knots is too centralized because it's just one guy at the top or whatever. So maybe I'll have, I guess you only get one question per shareholder. So if I've got a couple of things that I want to get put up to a vote, maybe I'll have to find somebody else in the community that's willing to field the other question. And so I'll just tell a little bit of a story. I know I'm not a big player in the space or anything, but I generally I generally get my way when I'm pretty fucking serious about something. And so I remember one time I moved from one house to another, and I called the light company and I'm like, hey, I need you to switch my account from this address to this address. Well, they turned the lights on at my new address, but they didn't stop charging me for the electricity at my old address. And of course I refused to pay and had it out with customer service. And at some point, the electric company, I kept saying, okay, well, if you can't help me, let me talk to your supervisor. And at some point, I just got to, the director of the customer service department itself, and I'm like, okay, well, let me talk to your boss. And they're like, no, the buck stops here. You can't talk to anybody higher than me. And so I was like, all right, bet. We'll fucking see about that. So, of course, everybody's information is available. And I went and found, all of the executives at the company, everybody on the board, everybody who was in charge of anything, executive vice presidents, the whole fucking chain of command, and found the person that I needed to talk to, and wrote them a letter directly at the headquarters where they worked. And the way that this shit works is you have to waste someone's time who makes too much money to give a fuck, right? This guy had to open a letter from some disgruntled customer about, $100 or something ridiculous. And so this guy was making, I don't know, $250,000, $500,000, millions of dollars a year, and he has to waste a couple of minutes of his time to read some asshole customer's complaint about $100. So immediately he was like, fucking pay this guy off. I don't want to have to deal with it. But also, I was right. And I listed all of my shit out there and all the multiple attempts that I tried to contact customer service and all of this crap. And so the point is, I didn't pay that frickin' bill. And but that wasn't the end of the plan. If the guy didn't respond to my letter, I had his home address. Now, I'm not saying anything threatening. I'm just saying that I would have flown to the guy's fucking house and stopped by with a box of Dunkin' Donuts and a coffee and rang his bell at Saturday morning when he's trying to get ready and take his kids to fucking soccer practice and said, hey, you got a minute to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? I mean, my bill. And just to let people know that you cannot completely insulate yourself by these layers of bureaucracy, because, you're just not going to avoid the annoyance, right? You can ignore my letter, but, you're going to have to have me trespassed at some fucking point. And then, I'll just raise a stink on X. And, back when I had 100 followers, I probably would have made it my mission to get 100,000 followers just so I could have my 100,000 followers inundate this fucking company with phone calls. That's the type of asshole that I can be if I want to be an asshole. So, hopefully these companies will listen to reason, and I'm not saying they have to adopt one code or the other, but they at least have to do a review and make their findings known, and then put themselves on record as being a good custodian of Bitcoin or a poor custodian. Are you going to be an agent of the fiat system and you are not a good custodian of my Bitcoin, or you are? So, anyway, that shit is going to happen, and I don't know if we're going to do it the easy way or the hard way, or if I have to show up at strategy headquarters with a fucking box of donuts. Maybe pizza day. Maybe I'll show up with a box of pizza on pizza day that I paid with Lightning Wallet or something. I'm just gonna have to be an annoying asshole for the foreseeable future. Anyway, let's check the chats and see if the market's doing anything. I don't really think anything's gonna need to trade today. What's up, Buffalo? BTC Pikachu says, I don't mind Sailor changing guidance, but why keep the slide and prices and sneak in a little line? Why not just say it was a mistake? You talking about the revised guidance? I think if he came forward and say, I care more for Bitcoin accumulation, that we'd have helped the sentiment if they were doing it for sentiment. Oh, my audio is fucked? Really? Anybody else noticing the same thing? I don't know if I need to mess with my gain. Of course, my audio input is the goddamn... Oh, because I didn't even plug in the fucking microphone. Now I gotta do the whole rant over again with a real mic. Let's see. Alright, the default mic is the beacon again. Is that Mo Betta? Alright, keeping it moving. I guess I'll start at the top. I've already got this account selected. So this was the one that I put in kind of the aggressive 360 covered calls. Is today Tuesday or Wednesday? Today's Tuesday. So they are ready to roll, some of them. So let me just go ahead and close one. I'm just going to close one. And then if the price kind of comes back to life, maybe I'll put it back on. That fell? No. I'm tempted to close two and roll one down for a credit. What can I roll it down to? No, not really, because the ones that are still on are actually at the expected move. So I'd have to roll it down way too far. So I'll just close that position and take half the money off the board. Yeah, I think that works. Alright, starting back at the bottom. These are still holding steady, not ready to roll, not ready to roll. I clawed my way back to 50 grand of margin. I was trying to whittle it down, and all it was doing was whittling up. And it might get worse before it gets better again, because I think I got bills to pay again. It's kind of weird how those bills don't care that the stock is down. But yeah, nothing to do. Nothing to do here. The IRA... yeah, not ready to roll. Tesla might be putting in work. Let's see, Tesla's... yeah, so my covered calls on Tesla are getting wrecked, so that's good news. That means that my long calls should be doing a little better. No actions to take there. Yeah, this is the most aggressive account that I have, and so this one, of course, is getting wrecked, with strategy being down. So nothing to see here. And the 5K account is going to be similar, right? I've got my wheel that I'm running. Got the cash secured put at 9.5, which is trading at 9.44, so these may get assigned, which would lower my cost basis yet again, and then I would just have to plow more money into the covered calls. Oh, I did add a put for Riot as well last week, so I'm running the wheel in this one. Or, oh, I'm sorry, no, these are the ones that I've had on for quite a while. These are the ones that I'm copy trading with my brother-in-law. So it looks like these may get assigned. Oh, maybe not. Huh. Riot been doing some good things the last week. We might have to roll this one out. Okay, Riot has been coming back to life, so that's good news. What about the CLSK one? Oops, that's 829. The 912 one. This is the one that I think has not been doing well. Yeah. So I need to get with him and roll out the Riot put to 45 days for an additional credit because it's worth less than half of what I sold it for. Okay, I'll have to do that. The Strive covered calls. So this is the one that I had originally sold the 750 strikes, but you know, Strive went down in value, so I rolled them down to the $5 calls, which is kind of fine because the synthetic that I created is the $5 at the $5 strike, and I think I only paid like $3 for the $5 calls, so this should be fine. I should just be able to roll this out without too much trouble. But I may have to sit on it because I sold it for 27 and now it's worth 78. So I may have to wait for this to get closer to expiration if nothing else happens. All right, so the IBIT 74 call, this one is definitely ready to roll. Sold it for 75. It's only worth 19. But let me make sure that I'm rolling it out to a safe strike. So the IBIT long that I have is a 55 strike that's worth 15. So I got to roll it to at least the 70. 55 plus 15, approximately. I can roll it to the 70 or higher. So I'm going to roll it out as close to 45 days to expiration as possible. Unfortunately, the October 10th expiration does not exist. So I have to choose to roll it either to the 38 or the 52. I'm thinking the 38 because if we start to get some kind of sniffing out some kind of pump in September, October, I don't want to lock myself into those extra 2 weeks necessarily. So I can roll that to the 70 strike. I think I sold it originally for what, 70 or 80, so this is fine. Let's do 0.62. See if I can get a fill there. It said high fill likelihood. Come on now. Cut me a break. So even with this being an IBIT ETF, the volume and open interest is not like terribly high. So I guess this is not to be unexpected. So I'm just going to put in an even more aggressive price here, 0.6. There we go. Got things to do. The funny thing is, even with Tesla kind of coming back to life, the theta decay on the 960s has basically brought me back down to a break even here. Alright, that should do it. Just take a look at this debit spread. So I paid $245 for this. So I need to sell it for more than $245. I think I already have my pending. Yeah, I'm trying to double up my money on this one basically. But we're a long way to go from there. Yeah, I think that's all the tweaks to the portfolio to make today. Basically just looking for calls that I sold that are, or puts that I sold that are worth less than half of what I sold them for. And if they are, and less than half of the time of the contract has also expired, then it makes sense to roll it early. That's kind of the point. Generally, it should get to 50% of its value within 2 to 3 weeks if everything was just kind of holding steady. But when the price of Bitcoin and Strategy is dropping, then there's probably going to be opportunities to roll sooner. What's up, Magic Pete? Just popping in for a second to say I love your titles. Five for 5 days, they make me chuckle. Glad to hear it. Oh, actually, I should have minimized that for all of the stuff to make the screen bigger. But we're basically done at this point. All right. Go forth and vet your Bitcoin treasury company. Make sure that they're a good steward of your monies. And we're all going to have to be good stewards of the Bitcoin network. The nodes are Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the node. And there's still a lot of smart people that are for Core. So there might be arguments to be made there. But I would be happy if NOS just gets to a size where they have to be taken seriously, and Core has to abandon their attack on the filters. That would be fine. I'll stop bitching and moaning and complaining about Core if they just stop fucking with the filters and actually deal with the bug. In my opinion, the inscriptions, the ordinals, the spam is a bug that needs to be fixed, not make a workaround for it to make it easier. So, that being said, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we are gonna win. It's just a matter of time. I'm not selling all my Bitcoin and taking my ball and going home just yet. So I'm still confident that Bitcoin will remain decentralized and secure, but I think it's up to all of us to make sure that happens. So